Hi, I'm Vince. Welcome back to Metanoia, the rock concert series, which follows the journey of conversion of Simon, also known as Peter, the rock upon whom Jesus built his church. This is episode 2. Simon was a simple fisherman who knew his business well. Like most Jews, he looked forward to the coming of the promised Messiah. So imagine his surprise when his brother Andrew came running to him one day shouting, "We have found the Messiah!" At once, Simon went with Andrew to meet Jesus. That meeting made a deep impression on him. But he was a busy man, so he went back to business as usual. Until one day, Jesus came interfering with his business.
Now it happened that Jesus was standing one day by the lake of Gennesaret, with a crowd pressing around him listening to the word of God, when he caught sight of 2 boats at the water's edge. The fishermen had got out of them and were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, it was Simon's, and asked him to put out a little from the shore. Then he sat down and taught the crowds from the boat. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into deep water and pay out your nets for a catch." Simon replied, "Master, we worked hard all night long and caught nothing, but if you say so, I will pay out the nets." And when they had done this, they netted such a huge number of fish that their nets began to tear. So they signaled to their companions in the other boats to come and help them. When these came, they filled both boats to sinking point. When Simon saw this, he fell at the knees of Jesus, saying, "Leave me, Lord, I am a sinful man." For he and all his companions were completely awestruck at the catch they had made. So also were James and John, sons of Zebedee, who were Simon's partners. But Jesus said to Simon, "Do not be afraid. From now on, it is people you will be catching." Then bringing their boats back to the land, they left everything and followed him.
Simon had worked hard all night long with nothing to show for it. And now Jesus was telling him to do it again. Go and catch some fish. But this time, go into deeper water. He began to object, but stopped himself mid-sentence. After all, this was Jesus. There was something about Jesus. So Simon changed his tone. "But if you say so." Despite his exhaustion and frustration, Simon went back to the sea, into the deep. This time, the result was different, overwhelming even. Interpreting it as a miracle, Simon looked at Jesus. In the presence of grace, he was humbled. "Leave me, Lord. I am a sinful man," he said. In reality, Jesus did not produce that catch out of thin air. Those fish were already there beneath the sea. Jesus could already see them, but Simon could not. That's why Jesus told him what to do. Go into the deep. Draw those fish out. Looking at Simon now, Jesus could already see Peter in him. That's why he refused to leave. Instead, he told Simon what to do to draw Peter out. Go into the deep. What going into the deep in this context is not explicitly mentioned in Luke's gospel, but we read it in both Mark's and Matthew's version of this call. Follow me. From now on, it is people you will be catching. Jesus could already see the fisher of men in this particular fisherman. We don't hear Simon respond with a yes, but actions speak louder than words. Simon's priorities changed. The day started with his mind focused on his failure to catch any fish. That was what dominated his thoughts. Fish. And when he finally got what he so wanted to get, fish, his focus shifted In the light of Jesus, the fish didn't seem that important anymore. So he left the fish and followed Jesus. It was more than an emotional response. It was an emotional response, a change in the direction of his life. The process of transforming into Peter had now begun for Simon.
Standing in shallow water, I am drawn beyond the shore. Can't tell what it is I am after, but I feel there must be something more. The day breaks over the sea as the waves ebb and flow, and in your eyes I see love I've never known before. You look past my sin and say I could be more. Your voice speaking to my heart and soul. You ask me to put out my nets of the shore. There is something about the call I can't ignore. Day by day I'll say goodbye to more and more people and things I wish could stay in my life. Your will, your way and not mine. In exchange for the old, you offer new life. The day breaks over the sea as the waves ebb and flow, and in your eyes I see love I've never known before. You look past my sin and say I could be more. Your voice speaking to my heart and soul, leaving my nets for your open door. There is something about the call I can't ignore. From now on I will follow you wherever you go. Can't hold on to who I used to be, 'cause you know me more than I know myself. You look past my sin and say I could be more. Your voice speaking to my heart and soul. You ask me to put out my nets of the shore. There is something about you. You look past my sin and say I could be more. Your voice speaking to my heart and soul, leaving my nets for your open door. There is something about your call I can't ignore, can't ignore.
More and more people are following the call to follow Simon Peter's journey, and I'm excited to see all of you in the next episode. Again, feel free to share this video with your family and friends so they can journey along with us. See you next week!